Welcome. Right now, I am excited to introduce you to Tom Telesco, and he is going to talk to us about navigating the punches of life. And I feel like everybody needs to know how to do that right now. It couldn't be any more relevant.
That's true. That's true.
So, what are some words of wisdom that you have to share with us?
Well, you know what, Tara, I just, first off, I want to thank you for hosting this virtual summit. I think it's imperative right now that people that have a voice, that have a story, and that have a roadmap to navigate difficult times step up right now because, we're living in a world where there's a lot of things that are unprecedented. I wrote a book a few years ago. I released it called Champion Your Life. And the subtitle is 10 Power Principles to Navigate the Punches of Life and Achieve Your Dreams. And I think navigating the punches of life is something that is different for everybody. Right now, collectively as the world, we're all navigating the punches of
The same big
COVID-19.
punch. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. That punch is affecting each person depending on their preparedness for something like this in a different way. For some people, some people are worrying about losing their jobs. Some people like us, people that go out and speak and, coach people and speak in large auditoriums or whatever, our whole business has transferred into a different realm. But you know what? Some people are navigating the punches of life, and it may be a health struggle, or they're seeing their 401ks be reduced to a 201.5F, or they're experiencing financial reversals. The punches of life come to us at different times in different manners.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I wrote the book a few years ago, it was relevant to my life story because personally, I've reached what I call the pinnacle of success twice in my life, only to have lost it all.
Twice? Oh, my
Twice.
word.
But in those defeats, I recognized that, some of our biggest victories come in the learning process of coming out of a valley, not necessarily standing on top of the mountain after we've achieved something. So that is really what I want to add value with today.
Mm-hmm.
In that book, I came up with 10 power principles. I want you to imagine this.
Okay.
This is different. This is a different battle that we're in. Because we can't see the enemy. We can see the effects, but we can't see the enemy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're starting to see a downturn in the stock market or the housing market, we can see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, we had nothing to compare it to.
Right.
There's a quote by Mike Tyson, and I'm not promoting boxing or anything like that. I've never been a fighter. My book does have the theme of boxing in it.
We're talking punches here. Bring it on.
Yeah, well, Mike Tyson's got a perfect quote. I lived in Las Vegas for 15 years. So fight night was a big thing in Las Vegas.
Right.
The eyes of the world would be centered in on Las Vegas Boulevard whenever the big fights would come in. And Mike Tyson lived in Vegas. And one day I was at the gas station and I saw Mike. And, after I was in the process of writing. So after I saw him, I'm like, he's got to have some good quotes, right? Mm-hmm. And he has this one quote that I think is so profound. You would think rather than being a fighter, he was a philosopher. He said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. And I think that in life, when we're going after a goal or we're trying to reset after we've been knocked down, life sometimes feels like a heavyweight boxing match.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if a fighter goes to get in the ring, it's him versus one other person. But in life, we're one person fighting against the world. And sometimes life tends to throw everything at us but the kitchen sink.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really love that quote because I'm thinking of, until you get punched in the face, it's not defeated. It's not, or, like a stumbling or fall down, but just imagining being punched in the face, there's nothing you can do. Like your natural reactions take over, like the stunned. Yeah. Like nobody knows what to do just like now.
Yeah. And it's so true. Now, here's the thing. I got, well, let me just say this. So if you're going to be in a fight At some point in time, we're all going to be in a fight. We may have relationship issues, health issues, challenges at work. There's so many different areas that in our daily walk, some people have faith struggles, like trying to figure out what am I supposed to be following? But if I was a fighter and I was getting ready to go into the ring, I would want to know what my opponent is or what their strengths are. But if you don't, you're okay. Because here's the thing. We know that if we're going into a fight, we're going to be fighting. So you got to have strategy. One strategy is you're on the defensive. And I think that's where we are today. So today I want to talk about the 5 defensive power principles to champion your life. And they're based on the acronym STAND. Okay?
Okay. That's the one that I wanted to ask you about today. I'm so excited you're going over this.
Oh yeah, we're going for that one. But here's the cool thing. That, you know, when we start to get some momentum in life, which we'll come out of this, we have to have an offensive strategy as well. So I have 5 power principles for the offensive power principles to champion your life as well. And they're based on the acronym for PUNCH. So what I decided to do for you, because you really are championing this cause, I decided to take a bunch of the documents that I usually give away from stage or whatever, and I put all 10 power principles into a downloadable PDF for your audience. For the faith-based people, I speak a lot to mission-driven entrepreneurs and Christians that are operating at really high levels of leadership. So I put 10 Bible verses for each of the power principles as well. And then I also put sort of a workbook. So I compiled them all into a 25-page document for your tribe and for the people that you're serving in this challenge. So
thank you so much, Tom.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love helping
people. I can't wait to look at it. That's
amazing. So let me tell you how I came up with these principles.
Okay.
Okay. Because I believe each and every one of us has a champion inside of us.
You are speaking my language.
Yeah. You know what? Some of us catch the vision, or we hear the whisper and we go after it. And other people, because of the punches of life that have come against them, they decide to take their dreams and put them up on the shelf. And today I'm here to call everybody out to a higher level. Okay. If you don't know what your champion calling is in your life, this is a perfect time to start to listen, to start to ask some questions. I had a great opportunity in October of 2017. I got to interview my childhood hero. He was my first Little League baseball coach, and I looked up to this guy since I was just like a little guy.
So literally and figuratively.
Yeah. And despite his wheelchair and the fact that he was in a nursing home, I could still feel his power and his strength when he talked about my little league game-winning home runs and, you know, some season-ending broken bones. And we laughed and, you know, I cried. As I left, he said, "Hey, T, thank you. I feel safe when you're here.
Wow.
Next time, can you read me your new book?"
Oh.
Absolutely, Dad.
Oh.
Yeah, it was my dad. I said, "I'll see you in a couple of weeks, okay? I love you. I love you too, T." That was the conversation that we had. And in that moment, I realized, Tara, this is so important. I realized that
Can
I'd
you
become
see I'm crying here already?
I'm going to start crying too. I had become, and you're
I love you.
All right, let's get back to this. In that moment,
two heart people here.
I know. I miss you, Dad. In that moment, I realized that I'd become a champion to my dad, who'd always been a champion to me. And, you know, I think people misconstrue it. They think that a champion is somebody that's always holding a trophy, but that's not necessarily true. Sometimes being a champion is just being able to step up and bring out the best in yourself and others right where you are, no matter what's going on in your life. And that's what we're doing here today. You know, I feel like I feel like you and I and all the other speakers that have been on the platform and that are going to be coming on the platform, and the people that are in the audience, we're like a bunch of pioneers getting ready to start out on a journey. And so, like I said, I just wanted to honor each and every person that comes to watch the video with that downloadable PDF guide. It's 25 pages, and I know it'll add value to people. In my professional life, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a high performance coach. And my wife, Tanya, and I know you've met Tanya.
Yeah, she's great.
We have the opportunity. We're also on the teaching faculty for John Maxwell's Global Leadership Company. So we have the opportunity to speak into over 38,000 people's lives in over 150 countries. And what we've come to realize is that whether we're in business, whether we're on the playground, whether we're at church or at school or anything, we are calling out the champion in others because we're all built for such a high purpose. You know, in the beginning of the call, I told you that I've reached the pinnacle of success twice. Now, that is not a braggadocious statement. My dad would say, don't be braggadocious. It's not. We define what the pinnacle of success is in our lives. You know, some people call it the American dream, right? I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have a job, a house. So that could be a pinnacle of success. I've had two big dreams in my life. As a kid, I wanted to be an all-star catcher for the New York Yankees. Every time my dad stepped in the white chalk batter's box at home plate, he transformed from being my dad to being a champion. And like I said before, I believe that we all have the dreams of a champion inside of us. But if we don't call that champion out, or we don't have someone call it out of us, we get comfortable.
Yeah.
We get comfortable. So when I was 9 years old, the catcher for the New York Yankees died in a plane crash. And I think that's probably the first time in my life I ever heard about somebody dying. And I used to watch this guy on TV all the time. And so when I heard that, I ran outside and I told my dad, I said, Daddy, I gotta quit the fourth grade tomorrow. I gotta go try out for the team.
Oh,
I mean, I believe my dad said, anything you want in life, if you go after it, you can get it.
Right.
I believed I could do it. Right. I didn't realize that my age didn't match up with the reality of the situation. And I think that's why a lot of people put their dreams aside, because they're looking at the long game and they're saying, I don't think I can take the 10 steps, the 20 steps to get there. But that's not true. You got to understand something.
This is gold. This is so good, Tom. Yeah.
Well, I've had a lot of coffee, so this is what happens. So like I said, in my mind, I didn't understand that there was a process or a progression to go through to become a baseball player. I had to be the right age, but my dad lovingly got down on one knee. He put his hand on my shoulder and he looked me in the eyes and he said, I know you're upset, buddy. Everything's going to be okay. Don't give up on your dream. When the time is right, you're going to get your chance. So when I sat down to write Champion Your Life, it took me 5 years to release this book. It's not because I'm not a good writer. It's because I had some things I had to fight. In this book, I didn't go and brag about some of the good things I've done, but I talked about some of the battles I've fought.
Yeah.
So in my journey, my second dream was to be an inspirational speaker. I heard Zig Ziglar speak from stage. And when I saw him inspiring thousands of people, I said, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to call out the champion in others.
Yeah.
And so what do? When you find what you want to do, you start to pursue, right? Well, 2 years into my dream, I had a fight. I had a fight to keep the dream alive. I had a fight to stay alive. I suffered from a dark 2-year depression that almost took me out for the count. And then the mind play that started to happen was, how can you motivate somebody?
Yep.
If you've been depressed? Because not only was I depressed, but I lost my career I was working in. I owned a business. My business started to drop. My first wife at the time, she stayed with me until I got healthy. And then one day she came home and she said, you know what? I love you more than I love anybody, but I don't love you like a wife should love her husband anymore. And because I have a compassionate heart and I'm grateful, I said, you're free to go. That was not cold or crass. That was like, thank you for not leaving me the other 720 days before today, because it may have terminated me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So when we're talking about COVID-19 and people dealing with the punches of life of a health challenge, I know what that feels like. It's not the same thing, but what goes on in your mind and your heart and your spirit, you feel like a balloon that's getting deflated. I know what that feels like.
Right.
Okay. So then after I got better, I moved to Las Vegas in 2000. I was like, I need sunshine. Doctor said, go get a sun lamp. I said, I'm going to go to the sunshine.
That's what I was wondering. What made you pick Vegas?
Well, I lived in Buffalo. So like a lot of months of the year, it was snowing.
I'm in Pennsylvania. So yeah,
right
the dark, the snow, the cold. Yeah.
Yeah. He said, you need some light therapy. I said, I know where I'm going. So I went to Las Vegas and I started to have a house built every year I was out there. And remember the year 2000. So now we're going 2000 to 2007. And guess what happened? I rebuilt.
Yeah.
I reached the pinnacle of success again. I was back on my feet. I was doing my career. I was passionate about what I was doing. And then the bubble burst.
Yeah. Yep.
And I lost it all again. But here's the cool thing. I started to go back over my life and see the patterns and the trends that happened along the way, and the way that I would pick myself up after I got knocked down on the mat. And I also saw some of the strengths that I had, that I could execute certain things in a certain way to get guaranteed results, or not, maybe not guaranteed, but almost assured. And that's when I came up with the 10 power principles to stand strong and to punch through. So you are basically putting a spotlight on a message that I know it's helped thousands of people, but it was written back then for today. So when we talk about navigating the punches of life, one of the main things that we have to do, and you're going to have to watch the time because I don't have my glasses.
Oh, you're fine. You're good.
How much time do we have?
We're a little bit flexible, probably like 10, 15 minutes, whatever you want.
Okay. So I'll give the power principles for stand for navigating the punches of life. Okay. And I'll talk about them a little bit. And like I said, people can download the PDF, and I think that'll add a great value to them. But when we're up against a fight, and this really was something that was birthed in me in Las Vegas, stand. The first thing you need to do when you're going through tough times is you have to stay calm. I'm going to just show you this. This is actually in the book. Here's the power principles. They're there. They're going to be in that document as well. But, one of the things we have to do in uncertain times is we have to stay calm. If for the listeners, you could just write ST underneath it, A underneath, and then just write these down. We got to stay calm because in unprecedented times, if we react quickly, we might screw things up. Now, for me to say stay calm, that is a learned behavior, because my whole life I've been a fixer. That staying calm is not my forte. See a problem, fix it, and maybe not even consider how it's going to affect me, as long as I can help somebody else. The other day, I got a call from one of my coaching clients, a great friend of mine. He's a doctor. He's also a speaker, and he has 4 little kids, and I just love him so much. But we were talking for about 3 or 4 minutes, and he goes, "What's wrong with you, man?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Don't you realize that the world's falling apart right now?" I said, "Yeah, I do. I do." And he goes, "Well, how can you be so calm?" I said, "Well, you have my book. I don't know if you read my book, but
You've got that autographed copy on your shelf.
Yeah, you asked me to sign it. And I said, but you know what? I've been through this before. And here's what I know. First, I have an assurance in my faith. So that just gives me a whole different perspective on things. But
Right.
what I do know is I don't know how this is going to turn out. But I do know that in 2007, which was 13 years ago, I lost everything. And every day I was panicking on how I could try to save things. And sometimes that becomes vanity in itself when we're trying to fix something that's unfixable. You know, sometimes we got to lay things down and just say, okay, I'm going to take it as I can, and I'm going to try to build from there. So I know that the worst of 13 years ago, right now, things are good. But I also know that back in 1998, which is 22 years ago, every day when I woke up, I didn't think I was going to make it through the day. So that stay calm, it's going to look different for everybody. Like when you're on an airplane, they're going to say, hey, if we lose cabin pressure, your mask is going to drop down, put it on you first, stay calm, and then take it and put it on someone else.
Right.
For some people, staying calm may be doing yoga in their bedroom. For some people, it may be listening to classical music or worship music. You have to identify the one thing that's been a constant throughout your life that's helped you stay calm. And once you can do that, that's going to be the foundational principle for all 10 steps, because your emotions are fleeting and they go up and down.
Yeah.
They go up and down. So the first thing you need to do is stay calm. The second part of the acronym, the T in stand, is you need to take notice. Now in the book, I talk about 4 different things you have to take notice of. So let me see if I can get them out. First of all, you got to take notice of where you are. You have to take notice of what you have. You have to take notice of what you want. And you need to take notice of what you can give.
Yeah.
In our brief time today, I want to talk about 2 of them. First of all, take notice of what you have. Yes, you may have to do things a little bit different right now, but that's a gratitude statement. Take notice of what you have. Be grateful for what you have. I just saw today on the news that they're repainting parking lots in Las Vegas right now, like putting the white marks down so the homeless people can sleep in where the cars would normally park, so they have the proper social distancing, because all of the
my gosh, I never thought of that.
Yeah, and I used to do a lot of work with the homeless in Las Vegas. So, you know, we have to take notice of what we have. Okay.
Right.
The next is take notice of what you can give. Who can you serve in this season? Tera, God bless you. You are serving. Who knows how many people you're serving? Like, I don't know how many speakers you have, but I know that hopefully every speaker will get at least one person to watch their video. And if they get one person to watch their video, then you've helped that many people. And that is the power of what you're doing. Take notice of what you have. Take notice of what you can give. The next step is activate your power. Stay calm, take notice, activate your power. Now, activating your power is something where, remember when I talked about putting your dream up on the shelf for a later date?
Yeah.
Activating your power is when you take what's going on in your heart, your mind, and your spirit, and you take it and you put it into action. It's like flipping on a light switch that's been off for a long time. Like, you didn't know how to do a whole summit, but you said, it doesn't matter. I know what can be done. I know I can go make some phone calls and find some people who could help me get it done. That is how you activated your power. For me, I was going to go direct to camera and just give a 30-minute talk. But I was like, in our back and forth, I was like, yeah, I think I want to serve your tribe the way you need it. And just looking at your facial expressions, I bet some of these things maybe are confirming that you've done the right thing.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Activating your power. So for me, when I went through that depression and I came out, and then I got punched again and found out that I was going to be a single man.
Right after.
And I gave her everything. There was one transaction that took place though. We had just bought 2 brand new Volkswagen Jettas. Okay. She got a stick shift and I got just a regular car. Okay. But in the divorce, I got stuck with the stick shift. and I didn't know how to drive a stick shift.
Oh, I was gonna say, don't tell me you didn't know how to drive it.
I didn't. So check this out. So I have a AAA trip ticket to get me from Buffalo to Las Vegas. And back then it wasn't on your phone. It was like a booklet, 2,300 miles across the country. And I went through your hometown and all the way across. I got pounded in Des Moines, Iowa by hail that was the size of golf balls. And sometimes that's what the punches of life feel like, or they sound like. It's like pop, 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 pop. And we just don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah.
But the hailstorm ended. I activated my power by driving across the country. I figured out how to navigate the gas and the clutch and the brake and the stick shift. And that drive was one of the most empowering things I've ever done.
How so?
Well, I'll tell you in a second. So, because after you activate your power, so I drove through Des Moines, Iowa. I went through the flat lands of Nebraska, and then I saw a rainbow, like right from one end to the other. And I'm like, God is with me on this journey.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like, no, God is with me. That was great until I drove into Colorado.
Oh, okay.
And then the next part of the power principle, the N in stand, you have to navigate your obstacles. You don't know what's coming next. So you got to stay calm, take notice, activate your power, and navigate your obstacles. What I realized, and I'm just putting a fun story on this one, but I realized that driving a 5-speed, which I wasn't well versed at, through the flat lands of Nebraska and going straight up the Colorado Rockies was two different experiences. So
praying for no stop signs, praying for no stop signs.
Oh my gosh. This was
nobody pull up behind me.
Yeah. And like, well, here's how it happened. So I was like, I don't know how to do this, but I know if I want to go faster, I go into 5th gear. So I popped my car into 5th gear and I started losing speed.
Right. Yep.
And the car tapped out at about 15 miles an hour. And like you said, cars behind me, cars to the side. I literally felt like the car was going to start rolling back. Now, when we don't know how to fight a battle, we have to be looking for a teacher or something to give us wisdom.
Right.
Now, if I would have had today's technology, I would have said, show me a different way, reroute me. I'll drive 5 extra days to get around this. I didn't have that. I was on a one-way road, like going a freeway, going up the side of the mountains. So like I said, I popped my car into 5th gear and I was just puttering. And then my wisdom showed up in the sign of a big white sign on the side of the road that said steep ascent, trucks drive in lowest gear. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Popped my car into 1st gear, made it to the top of the mountain. Now, if you don't prepare to navigate the obstacles,
you're setting yourself up for failure. Yeah.
Right. Because here's the thing. And I know this now, although I didn't do it, but if I would have quit and turned around, I never would have experienced the beauty of the summit up in Vail, Colorado. I never would have seen what was on the other side. Right.
Yep.
Now, that is part of the process. These are very simple techniques, but when you stack them together, they give you a way to make yourself calm. Okay. Now, because we're short on time, I won't tell you how I drove down the side of that mountain, but neutral, hand on the parking brake. That's sort of the way it went. It was a brand new car, so I figured I can't do that much damage. And then the final power principle to navigate the punches of life. After navigate the obstacles, you have to determine your next steps. You have to determine your next steps. And I think right now, one of my coaching clients, he's like half my age, and he's a coach. He's a high performance coach as well, but he's got a lot of wisdom for his age. And we got a little personal the other day, and he said, Tom, can you, I can't remember the word he said, but he's like, will you be okay for 60 days? Now, we have faith-based conversations. So I don't think he was asking me about my bank account. Like, will you be able to pay your bills for 60 days? But of course, that's one of the things that goes through your mind. I mean, we've had tens of thousands of dollars of things fall off the map.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that came to my mind. And then the second part was, yeah, I think I can, but here, Tara, you're gonna probably be able to relate to this.
Okay.
In a fast world, we tend to react and respond as opposed to segment parts of our lives and give ourselves freedom to grow, because we're busy going back and forth. Like I said, it's like that fight. We're getting punch, 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 so we react. What I took from that message from Joseph asking me that question was, how am I going to retool over the next 60 days? How am I going to, not how am I going to determine my next steps? Because I already know that's the power principle. Now I have to determine the next steps, and I have to be comfortable, and I have to be confident navigating those steps, as opposed to saying, oh, there's a squirrel, or, oh, there's another fire I can put out. I have to determine 60 days from now, life is going to look different, whether we're still locked in our homes or whether we're back to normal. It's going to look different. And champions need to show up different. We need to show up strong. So those are the 5 power principles. I didn't go deep, but I think you get the idea.
Yeah, it's excellent.
And I want to wrap up with one thought and one story.
Okay.
Back when I first started to pursue being a speaker, I just love to help people. There was a message I heard called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. It was the first motivational message stamped on a vinyl record in the 1950s. And Earl Nightingale said that success is the progressive, keyword, progressive, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Back then, they didn't say goal, they said ideal. So I'm going to say it again. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal. When I got depressed, I judged myself. Why? I didn't hit the goal.
Right.
I could have still been in progress, but I didn't hit the goal. So I considered myself a failure. So instead of success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal, I thought the definition was success is the realization of the goal. That is not the truth. And in this book,
say that one more time. It's so awesome.
So instead of success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal, I believed, because I was beating myself up, how can a depressed person motivate the world? Success, the quote became, success is the realization of the goal. And that is not true. It's having progress, even if you have to stop and stand. Okay. So in this book, one of the most powerful things I talk about here, champions are not born. Well, we're all born. Champions don't show up one day as a champion. Sometimes they have to get a vision, and we all start out in life as spectators. It's usually like when I was in the audience with Zig, I was in the audience and I saw him. I said, that's what I want to do. I was a spectator. But then I decided that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. So I crossed the line. I went from being a spectator to becoming a contender. And I started fighting for my dream every single day. Some days big wins, some days big losses. But every day I kept going. And then eventually you cross that final line and you become the champion of your life. Now people say, well, if I'm a champion, if I made it to the NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, CEO of a company, then I'm a champion. I qualify one time. No, that's not true. Because here's the thing, just like that mountain in Colorado, when you get to the top of the mountain, your perspective's different. Now you say, oh, there's something over there I want now. You go from being a champion to being a spectator, and you start all over again. And I believe it's so powerful that we have to recognize that the only time we fail is when we quit or when we die. In my world, if I die, I'm going to heaven. That's not a failure. But here's the thing. I don't want anyone to come out of this season with regret.
Right.
Like Joseph said to me, Tom, will you make it through 60 days? Yes, I will. Of course I will. But what am I going to do in these 60 days that can be productive to my future? I don't want anybody to have any regrets. You know, it's funny. I told you the story about my dad, and 4 days after I saw my dad,
Um,
he lost his fight to Parkinson's. I never got to read him this book.
I was just gonna ask that. Oh,
But that's okay. Because of my dad, I have a story to tell.
Right.
And then on stage, I usually close out. My name's Tom Telesco. I inspire spectators. I challenge contenders. And I equip people to champion your life.
Oh, amen.
So what I want to say, just to close out, thank you. Thank you for going out on a limb and taking a risk to do this. I know people will be blessed. And more importantly, you'll be blessed because I know you've had to pull on resources that you didn't know were available to you.
Yeah. And my husband has pulled on resources that he didn't know he had. And my kids pulled on. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So I thank you for inviting me. And I just hope that some of the things I said today, like I said, there were 30,000 foot view, talking points today, but if you get the downloadable PDF, it's going to be at thomastelesco.com. There should be a link attached. Download it and just start to reframe the way you look at your future, because it's not just your future that's affected. If I would have given up, someone that needed to hear a message today wouldn't have heard it.
Right.
So we can't give up. We just got to find people that will stand beside us and hold our arms up while we're weak, so that when we get strong, we can return the favor.
Yeah.
So God bless you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much for being willing to step up. We organized all of this so quickly, and I know you're so busy, with all of this going on, the things that you've been called to. Thank you so much for taking your time to speak into all of our lives and share such incredible insight and wisdom.
Yeah. And if you really take lessons to drive that 5-speed before you go up a steep hill.
Or go around Colorado.
Yeah. So, no, this is good. And I believe there's going to be a lot of champions birthed from this week that you put together for everybody. So if there's anything I can do for you, please feel free to reach out to me. And like I said, God bless you and your husband. I know that he's working on probably someone else's talk right now. But here's the other thing. Thank you for allowing us to do the Audible, where we did interview style.
Yeah.
Because it really helped me to see you.
Yeah. This was great. This is going to bless so many people, but I feel like it's exactly what I needed to hear right now. And I also want to add it. This is so out of my comfort zone. I've never organized a summit before. I've never, and to do this in like a week, it's crazy. But my heart felt so convicted with, the fear and the uncertainty a couple of weeks ago. Everybody's facing I have so many friends that are speakers, and all of our stages were canceled. And, what are we going to do? And I kept thinking of all of the incredible gifts that each one of my friends has and my colleagues. How can we still share that?
Yeah.
So, it was just a God thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm ready for this. I can do it. We're going to make it happen. And it's moment by moment, I'll be honest. But today I was live streaming. Today is one of the days. So it's Tuesday, I guess now. The first day of the summit. This will air later. But I was streaming that to my Facebook page, and I was seeing who was joining.
Yeah.
It was this beautiful array of all of these people from different stages of my life, people I just casually met, people, and they're listening and watching and learning. And I thought, oh my word, just me sharing that to my page.
Yeah.
Think of that effect of what's going to happen. It's incredible.
Yeah. You know what? You said 3 things, and I was like, I'd love to give her the other 5 power principles to punch through to your dreams. And but I still want people to be able to see all 10 of them. But the last one, the H in punch is hammer away every day.
Yes.
Hammer away every day.
Little bit.
Yeah. And you know what? There's an incredible story about Michelangelo when he carved David. Now, the story most people don't know is that two other sculptors about 50 years prior started to carve that statue.
Really?
Yeah. And then
I'm an artist. I studied art history. I did not know this.
Yeah. Well, I've got the book right there. So what happened was, you got to think about this. They were commissioned to carve out David, and then it stopped. So David was trapped in that stone because somebody didn't hammer away every day.
Yeah.
So for those of you that feel like your dream is getting further away, it's not. Just keep going. For those of you that put it on the side, 60 days. Now's the time to try to resurrect some things. Look at things a little bit different. Your perspective's going to change. But guess what? There's going to be winners and there's going to be losers in this game.
Right.
Why don't you be a winner so you can help everybody? So
I want to give you a quote from my son.
Okay.
He was, I think, 6 years old when he did this. We love ice hockey. We go to hockey games. He wants to be a player, you know, and you watch people that look so easy. So he goes out to try. It was like, oh my gosh, like this kid, he's just so determined. He's falling all over and he's trying to play in games where the puck comes and he can't stop it. You know, when he goes right by the puck, it's like, oh, it's so painful. And I kept thinking to myself at that point, I think I might quit if I were him. Like, this is so hard. How do you keep going and doing this? And then one day he runs off the ice and he's like, I said, do you have fun? He's like, yep. Every day, Mom, I get better and better.
That's good.
And I was like, that's it. Yeah.
Well, a great hockey quote, Wayne Gretzky.
I love hockey.
you always miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
And that's Wayne Gretzky. And one of his main things about the reason he was able to score so many goals is because he kept his stick really close to the ice, where most people, when they're skating, they'll keep their sticks up. Yeah. So the puck can't hit your stick when it's going past you unless your stick's on the ice. So just keep taking shots. This is going to be great. This is going to birth something very powerful for you. And I'm proud to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and please give your best to Tanya for us.
I will.
Thanks.
Bye, guys. Be blessed.